Hi there, and welcome to Leadershipisation, all things leadership. I kind of get connected to that music that's playing at the beginning, and I have to be really careful that I don't just go off in a drum beat and forget that I need to say, Hi, I'm here to all of you people. So, I'm Beth Bergen. I'm a global leadership and communication coach, and I am here most Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And I talk to people, I share the tools that I think are important for your leadership intelligence toolkit. We've talked a lot over the last 12 months or so about, well, we've talked a lot about all sorts of things, but one of the common things, the things that keeps on coming up is boundaries. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. And I was reminded the other day that there's no point in actually having boundaries, no point in having them if you keep letting other people cross them. There's no point in having them if no one knows that you've actually got those boundaries. So, this isn't about establishing boundaries, that's potentially a topic for another day. This is actually about, okay, I've got my boundaries. How do I successfully communicate them? So, this is all about the kinds of key phrases that you can use to hold your boundaries. And I've got 10 phrases that I'd like to share with you. Imagine you've been invited to something and maybe you didn't have the time or the energy to devote to it. The first phrase I want to share with you is this: I appreciate the offer. However, I'm going to pass this time. Now, what that does is it demonstrates your appreciation for the offer. Thanks. I love it. You've acknowledged that they've invited you. You're not offering up an excuse. You're giving clarity. You're not kind of going, oh, maybe I will, maybe I won't. You're simply saying, I appreciate the offer. However, I'm going to pass this time. It opens the door for them to invite you to something again the next time that the opportunity arises. Now, I know, and I say this every time we do something or where there's almost like a template or a formula for what you need to say. I know that that might sound a whole lot like something you would never say, and that's fine. Think about the language that's in the statement and make your own adaptation of it. It might be that you would say something like, hey, thanks for asking. It's really, I really appreciate you asking me. I'm going to pass this time. Or, I'm not up to it at the moment. Or, this isn't, I haven't got time, whatever. But those two things are the things that are there. Thank you, I'm going to pass. Thank you, not this time. Thank you, can't make it this time, but I'd love you to ask me again another time. Yeah? So all the time, I'll just be giving you this kind of, in the 10 phrases, this kind of template so that you can adapt it for yourself. Now, what's important is that with this statement, it's neither aggressive or passive. It's actually assertive. So you're quite simply saying, thank you, I'm going to pass. Thank you, I'm going to pass. Now, if what happens is that whoever's inviting you pushes, then go as far as saying, I've got other commitments that day. And then change the subject. And then change the subject. If they come back at you again, come back to your original statement. Yeah, thanks for asking me. However, I'm going to pass. No isn't an invitation to debate. So you've got to hold that ground, right? You've got to hold that ground. Okay. I love that first one. It's really handy. It's something that you should think about adding to your Leadership Intelligence Toolkit. Okay, the second one. This is around a request to assist or to meet somewhere at a particular time, to help with something or to meet. And this is your phrase. That doesn't work for me. However, here's what I can do. That doesn't work for me. However, here's what I can do. Now, this is an alternative because it reframes a no. So it's not a hard no. It is a no, but it's not just no. It reframes that no into, hey, let's work together. Let's figure out how we can make this happen. It demonstrates that you want to contribute something, but it redirects their thinking to an option that actually suits you. So what you're doing here is going in from a problem-solving aspect. You're going in from that problem-solving aspect. Okay? The third one is this. Perhaps you've had a request to do something. It might be to meet, it might be to go to something, it might be to help out, whatever. It's a request. And this is the phrase. I'd like to think that through. Can I get back to you tomorrow? Now, this creates a pause, and that pause prevents you from jumping into that gorgeous people-pleasing reaction where we kind of say yes before we've even thought about it. Our mouth opens and, oh, yeah, that'll be fine. And then we go, what did I do? Right? So the pause prevents that from happening. But it also buys you some time so that you can then respond from a more intentional place, not because you feel obligated. Now, this doesn't mean that you're going to say no. What it means is that you're going to go away and think it through. And you'll get back to them. So before rather than feeling obligated, you've got time to think about what is your response. And you might use one of the other boundary statements that we talk about today. The awesome thing too about creating that pause is that you can go away and think about it, but so can they. Because quite often people will ask you for something on the spur of the moment. And because you've created the pause, they've got to go away and think about how urgent it is for them. Yeah? So it's really useful. Number 4, again, like all of the others, this is about asking for something. Asking often for your time or your expertise. So this statement is, thanks for thinking of me. However, my schedule is full right now. So it's a bit of a fancier adaptation of the second one that we were looking at. So again, we're giving that recognition. We're being honest. We're not getting into the over-explaining or the justifying why we might be saying no. Because that's what trips us up all the time. We get all caught up in the justification of saying no. And then in the end, we talk ourselves out of it. You're not over-explaining. There's no hidden promise that you're going to circle back around and come back in and check to see and maybe change your mind. And it isn't open-ended. It quite clearly says, thanks for thinking of me. However, my schedule is full right now. Stop. Pause, smile. That's what that was about, that weird look on my face. So stop, pause, smile. And that softens the no a little bit, and then move on to a different subject. Change the subject. Often what we forget in our communication with other people is that we can actually change the subject. We can manage the flow and the ebb of the conversation. Number 5. Again, this is about a request to go somewhere to do something. I really enjoy this one because it gives us a number of different options. So I'm using health at the moment. So The statement is this: I'm focusing on my health this month. So I'm saying no to extra commitments. So you can easily change up the word health and the word month. It might be, I'm focusing on my fitness this week. I'm focusing on not drinking this year. I'm focusing on whatever it might be. I'm focusing on going home going home really early this quarter. So I'm saying no to extra commitments. It's transparent. It's linked to some sort of value like my health, my family, my own time, my saving money. You're acting with purpose, and you're making a statement that, it demonstrates that you're wanting to respect yourself. So it asks for respect from others, not a negotiation, right? It's just really clear it's not a negotiation, and it kind of reminds you why boundaries matter. And because you're keeping it time bound, I'm focusing on my health this month. It's not absolute. Now, the thing I'll tell you about this is it's a really good idea to just use this sparingly. This doesn't become your regular excuse. This is real. If you're actually focusing on leaving work on time to spend more time with your family, then use it because it's real and authentic, not just because it's a spur of the moment thing. Because otherwise, people get a bit jack of it and they'll understand that you're using this instead of being prepared to say, no, I don't want to. Okay. Number 6. This is all about when someone is wanting your time or your expertise. And it's about you kind of deflecting without coming across as being a bit harsh. So it goes like this: I'm not available for that. However, I can recommend someone who might help. I'm not available for that. However, I can recommend someone who might help. Now, as I said before, we're deflecting, but we're doing that with generosity. And what you're doing is safeguarding your own time. However, you remain as a resource because perhaps you can recommend someone who might help. Now, the really important thing here is that you don't dob someone else in to do a task that you don't have time or the inclination to do. You need to ask them before you refer them. So this statement needs to include, hey, I'm not available for that. However, I can recommend someone who might help. Let me check with them first. Because it's important that you check with the person. You don't just, I'll deflect it off to someone else and then I'll be able to not worry about it. Okay. One of the areas that it's always hard for us to have boundaries in, or to promote our boundaries into, is a topic of conversation. We think, oh, I've got to sit there while people talk about a whole lot of stuff that I don't, that I don't want to talk about. I feel uncomfortable. So, there's that old saying about politics and religion. Don't talk about politics and religion, because that can create all sorts of upheavals, and as people want to air their beliefs, and then we can get into that kind of head banging. I want to be right and I want to be right now. So if there's a topic of conversation that comes up, this is a great one to use. So this is number 7. Just simply saying, I'm uncomfortable with that topic or with this topic. Let's talk about something else. Smile, change the subject. I'm uncomfortable with this topic. Let's talk about something else. Change the subject. Now, I can remember being at a function recently where someone asked me what I thought about something that had been written up a whole lot in the newspapers. And I had read a little bit about it, I was aware about it, but certainly not enough to get into a conversation where I was able to actually add some value to that conversation. So I said something very similar to this, which was, I haven't read enough, I'm not well informed enough about that subject to enter the conversation, but I'm happy to listen to what you guys have to say. Now, what I became aware of is that that's also, it's very similar to I'm uncomfortable with this topic. That's also a really awesome way just to hold your own beliefs about a topic that people want to talk about. You don't have to comment when you say that you're not well informed about something. So that's kind of an adaptation. Now, if it continues, if they continue talking about the subject, let them know more directly that you're uncomfortable. And if it veers back to the topic again, repeat the phrase and change the subject. Because you are consistent, because you're prepared to make the boundary statement more than once, because you're prepared to do it more than once, what happens is that you then are in a position where they'll start to take you seriously. That consistency signals how serious you are about it. Now, if someone's looking to meet you, they want to meet with you, let's get together, let's meet, whether it be for a coffee or a personal or a business conversation, and you don't have a lot of time, you can say something like this. This is number 8. I can meet for 30 minutes, however, not for an hour. Now, what's awesome here is that you've adjusted the scope. You've said, I want to meet with you, but instead of cancelling, you've brought it back to, I can give you this. It means that you've got to think about the location of the meeting. It might also mean, hey, we need to have an agenda so we keep on track. But it pre-frames that I've got 30 minutes, so it sets you up so you can watch the time. The whole time that you're having the conversation, it allows you to kind of set that timer and stick to the limit, and then protect against people drifting off into other conversations. Yeah, I really like that one. I find that one very handy. If you've got something that's around a timeline or an expectation, hey, here's the task, I want you to do this, and I'd like you to have this done in 2 days, please. I don't want to do that. What am I going to say to them? I really suggest your adaptation of statement number 9, which is, that deadline is tight. Here's a timeline that I can commit to. So that you might say, here's a timeline that I can commit to. I can do it in 3 days because I have these other 2 tasks that are priorities that I need to get through. So again, you're opening up to a bit of a negotiation without opening the door too wide. And you're proposing something that's really feasible as an alternative. You're being professional, you're protecting yourself, and you're making a positive promise, not a concession. Because often if people know that they can push that boundary, then what happens is they push that boundary again and again. They'll come back and push that boundary all the time. So what you're doing is saying, hey, that deadline's, that it's tight. Here's one I can commit to. If they go, if that person is saying, well, I really do need this in 24 hours, then you can say and still maintain your boundary, What you can say is, okay, which task would you like me to put to one side so that I can get this done? Yeah? Maintaining again that professionalism while you protect yourself. Okay, final one here. Getting emails or text messages or being asked to do a whole lot of work outside of hours. Now, this is quite a contentious one. There's actually a guy that you see all the time who has made quite a name for himself sharing his thoughts about the text messages that go between bosses and their employees. So here's your boundary. I'm choosing to keep this weekend tech free, so I'll reply on Monday. There's your boundary. You own it and you follow up. You can also add an automated email responder so that people get that to reinforce the message. That's what's really important. To reinforce the message, you need there to be that consistency there. So let's have a look at a quick summary. Boundaries aren't selfish. They're not selfish. Other people might make you feel as though they're selfish because you're standing up for yourself. They demonstrate your value. They demonstrate your self-trust. They can, and if what you can do is communicate them respectfully, you're getting your message across and you're able to stick to your boundaries. Now, I've got those 10 there. Make them your own. Use those as a template. Make them sound like you. Others who value you, they'll adjust. They'll work around your boundary statements. Use them often, except that one I talked about that you should use sparingly. Okay? I hope that you've enjoyed those 10 phrases that will help you to communicate your boundaries so that you can stick to them. Thank you so much. If you've got any questions or comments, pop them on the platform that you're watching this on. If what you've got is some of those questions you want to reach out, we'll get back to you as quickly as we can. If you're watching this on replay, #replay would be awesome. Now, just a reminder, I offer one-on-one and group coaching sessions to build your influence as a leader. We want you to be an influential leader. We want you to have great communication skills. We want you to be able to hold yourself and others accountable. And we want you to have authority and be well respected as a leader. That's what my clients individually or in my group coaching sessions, that's where they experience their greatest growth. So reach out if you'd like to hear more about me working with you and your team. See you next week. Bye now.